Glad you could join us today on Earthfile. Welcome to the program. I'm Ayola Kasim. Tomatococcus danieli, also known as sweet prayers plant or ewe moi moi in Yoruba, is found in tropical rainforests of West Africa, where people usually use it for wrapping and boiling, especially in Nigeria, Ghana, and some parts of Cote d'Ivoire. Research has shown that the plant is a source of a natural sweetener, which they claim is about 3,000 times sweeter than sugar. But poor farm practices and unsustainable cultivation is affecting productivity. So today on Earthfile, we visit a community where the tea danieli is being produced. Just stay with us. The women of Iwo in Osun State, southwest Nigeria, dancing for joy after their efforts actually yielded fruit. These women are a member of a group which has just been announced as one of 22 winners of the 2019 United Nations Development Programme's Equator Prize. The prize recognizes works of outstanding community and indigenous initiatives that are advancing nature-based solutions for climate change and local sustainable development.
We entered into it when we noticed the significance, the role that our project may play in terms of awareness creation globally to other communities, not only on our own aspect of the project, but other communities that have local solutions. Because the solution we are proposing or we are focusing on is slowly, stylishly turning the tide against deforestation. Because we know that over time, all these activities will now become a positive thing, and in that way, we are reducing, one, the chemical input into farms, two, we are increasing the carbon volume of the forest, and we are also ensuring that the forest canopy are not, done. We appreciate that Equator recognizes the role that we're, because it's hidden. It's not easy to really recognize this. It's not a direct thing. It's a thing that connects today with the future. That the only way for us as a people to fight climate change is by providing solutions ourselves rather than waiting for people. And from what we are doing, from agriculture we are doing, from the way we are using chemicals, from the way we are cutting trees, we can be providing that solution without that's the idea of EMADET, which is already recognized. That's why we appreciate Equator for recognizing that role, that it's a solution pattern for development in the future.
Their work started in early 2018 in Ileron in Ayedere local government area of Osun State, when the Environmental Management and Development Trust visited the community. With a grant of about $50,000 from the Global Environment Facility, the trust executed the integrated agroforestry, waste management, and livelihood enhancement projects in Ileron and its environs. The trust chose Ileron because of its proximity to the Osun River.
The area was chosen because it represents the end limit of the forest zone in southwest Nigeria, using the Osun River as the bank. Much of the other forests that exist, northern part of this place are more Guinea woodland and going to later into Guinea savanna. So this is like the end limit of real rainforest section, the tropical rainforest section. And the purpose of it is to ensure that farmers who are here, most of them are farmers now, cocoa agroforests. Some have abandoned their cocoa farms. Some cocoa farms are not well managed. We now realize that things of the past, the biodiversity in the cocoa agroforest is going down, no more snails. So it boiled down into misuse of, agroforest lands. One, many farmers now complain about lack of forest vegetables in their farms, lack of biodiversity like snails in their farm, even snakes. All these things used to support their mineral and protein content in those days. The biodiversity is going down, mushrooms are no more available. We now realize that there's need to look back into what keeps forest ecosystem on. And we want to use agriculture as a solution rather than a problem. The other thing is that migrants, people who are doing cash cropping, are already coming in more. The destruction, the cutting down of the forest for cash cropping, for food cropping is increasing. So farms that you normally do cocoa People are cutting down cocoa farms to now do cassava, which is dangerous to forest ecosystem sustainability. So the project focuses on integrated forest management, containing things like integrated pest management. We are watching the issue of pest management and chemical use, rational use of chemicals in farms is part of what we also focused on.
Owolabi Odesami is the brain behind the project. He's a former Special Conservation Project Officer with the United Nations Environment Programme based in Geneva. Having worked in about 42 countries, he decided to do something for the rural communities in Nigeria.
Developing the local communities has been my own concern. You cannot impose your style or your understanding on local people. The local people are the one that will tell you what is going on in their domain, and therefore you have to, how you can enhance their profit value on the basis of what they've told you by your own experience and knowledge and understanding of what they are talking about. So that is how you can help people.
The Environmental Management and Development Trust supports a dynamic network of people in the area to promote agroforestry and the production of Tomatococcus danieli, known as sweet prayer plant or wrapping leaf, as an alternative to plastic for local markets. Plastics, no doubt, have become a part of our daily lives, especially in the kitchen. Plastics are lightweight, readily available and cheap. Hence, there are heavy demand in the kitchen. Plastics like PET bottles also become handy for packaging water in various sizes. Cooking oil is also packaged in plastic kegs, jerrycans, and bottles of different sizes. Some electric jugs, insulated food warmers, food flasks, food serving spoons, spatula and ladle for soup, sieve, and many other kitchen utensils are made of plastics. But plastics can also be hazardous to human lives, depending on its type, how it is used, and what it is used for. Although the risk is low, there is growing evidence that food can be contaminated by harmful chemicals from some types of plastics. Here in Nigeria, many are eating beans pudding known as moi moi cooked in plastic bags. Experts warn that these people risk serious health challenges as the product is poisonous.
This Tomatococcus danieli is commonly found everywhere, and luckily, when they now say, okay, the people should prescribe the use of plastic for cooking, and we now realize that okay, this leaf has been used and has been tested to contain some antibiotic when you cook it, and then so on the basis of that, we now say, okay, this might be a better alternative and better option for Nigeria. So that's why we say, okay, we are embarking on the propagation, because it goes naturally on its own, under the canopy of trees, and we study the requirement for propagation. That's why we are now embarking on the artificial propagation that is propagated by man. So with that, we now say, okay, definitely we are going to, because people are considering it as weed in their cocoa plantation. So that's why it's very cheap. But now that we know why they was all given recognition was that the people who live on nylon did not allow the leaf to have economic value anymore. And then by the time whoever start the alternative to use of plastic will be the first beneficiary. So that's why I'm encouraging them to start planting it now.
The alternative to plastics being encouraged is the Tomatococcus danieli. The leaf is harvested from the wild for its fruits, from which a protein-based sweetener called tomatin is extracted from the areas. Local people use tomatin as sweeteners by licking the seeds to sweeten porridge or fermented palm wine.
Some of the products that were originally available in the forest ecosystem were no more there. And one of it is the Tomatococcus danieli, which grows easily in cocoa agroforest in those days. And women around normally go and collect the leaves, use it for wrapping leaves, and they even sell it. Merchants normally come around to buy the leaves. Local women traders in towns and cities come around. But the trade went down because it's no more available in cocoa agroforestry, because the cocoa themselves, they were dying out. Younger people are no more being recruited into the farms, and the older people are not maintaining the farms, and the chemicals being used on cocoa farms killed some of the undergrowth. So the idea is, before you can call back the forest and the Tomatococcus danieli, you must imbibe the idea of integrated farming. And we now reintroduce to them. The community themselves came up with the idea that some of the things they've lost are things like Tomatococcus danieli. They know that elsewhere they are growing in the wild, people are going to buy them. So women from cities around, they are going as far as Edo State, going as far as Fine Ondo State, Ekiti State, to get leaves to sell to people around here. So the purpose of the project is to encourage people to be planting it in their farms, cocoa farms, so that the communities around there and large cities around there, including Ibadan, depend more on leaves that are planted in cocoa farm around rather than far, far away, which is also going down. The forest is also going down in those areas.
However, the exploitation of T. danieli exclusively from the wild has been reported to be neither sustainable nor meet industrial demand. Destruction of secondary forests due to poor harvesting techniques has led to yield reduction across its range. Farmers are being forced to travel further into reserved forests to find adequate supplies of foliage and fruits.
We introduced a process which we call the Farmer Field School. Farmer Field School is a concept of bringing farmers together in their own farms. It's a joint learning session, mutual understanding of the problems, and then encouraging them to know how to put on the seedlings themselves. And they have wild seedlings in some places. So we encourage them to also go to 5 places where the leaf exists to take stocks of seedlings. So we set up a nursery system. Then they took their seedlings from the nursery systems. There are 2 species of the farm of the one used in the wrapping of agidi, the corn meal, and the one used in the wrapping of maimai. The one in the wrapping of maimai is the ewera. The one in the wrapping of the agidi leaf is the godogi. The other, they now know the technology of planting each of them. So we support them by providing them with seedlings, saplings, and that took place through the whole of last year. So we did 6 sessions, going to individual farms, doing the classroom in the farms. There we see the methods of planting the leaf, the methods of taking care of pests and all sorts of. So this year people have started individually. They've sourced for the leaves themselves and they are planting in their farms. So the meaning of it is, in the next 2-3 years, the whole place will be, there will be more merchants. That's why we have a small collection center here, so that somebody who is coming in, a woman is already appointed as the Yaloja, who will take over later, who will be responsible for the local organization of the trade. I'm happy this year that people by themselves have started planting. What I told them is that I will provide support for you people to be getting seedlings as you want, but I will not follow anybody to your farms. It is your farm. And the money that you are going to make from there is yours. The next thing we are doing is we are linking them up with the farmers' cooperatives and groups in the state, so that they can share their own experience with other farmers across the state, and also they can be able to receive benefits and opportunities that are in agriculture today in terms of getting loans and getting soft credits. Then the third thing is we want to increase their knowledge on integrated agroforestry by reducing the use of chemicals, by concentrating more on farm hygiene and farm management rather than putting chemicals on everything, so that we can call back biodiversity.
Adijat Ileoro is one of the women farmers in Ileron who benefited from the training organized by the Environmental Management and Development Trust. Her crops include cocoa, orange and palm fruit. Today, she's planting the sweet prayer plant.
I
started farming a long time ago, but just started planting the sweet prayer plant after we were asked to start replanting. Since we started planting the leaf, we've had so many benefits. The weeds that used to destroy our farm produce have stopped since we started planting sweet prayers. Instead of weeds, we now have the leaf under the cocoa tree, and the two are beneficial to one another. All the things we have lost as a result of chemical application are now back since we started planting the leaf. We now see snails, mushrooms, and so many other things like snakes and grass cutters. Those are things that chemicals would have killed. The sweetbriar plants can be found where it is cool. Here we are right now is a village land. Snail, grass cutters and snakes can't be found here, but they will be found in cool places. Now we figure that our produce look better.
Because the sweetbriar plant is shade tolerant, it has been argued that controlled harvesting under a mixed indigenous plantation system may promote sustainable yield, thereby reducing the frequency of harvest in primary forest. With much emphasis on poverty alleviation in sub-Saharan Africa, promoting the cultivation and management of sweetbriar plant in mixed tree-based systems may also serve as potential source of income generation to resource-poor farmers. The farmers crave more assistance on how to boost their yield.
Our advice to our leaders is that they should assist us more. Because of the sweetbriar plants, we have found lost opportunities. The leaders should please sponsor us so that we can have the grace to do more. We do not have good roads, water, no electricity, and all the things that help people to relax after a hard day's work.
You have the smaller ones, the shrubs, then the big trees.
Olalekan Adio is a certified agro-based technology trainer and he is in charge of the Farmers Business School. He trains the farmers on the new approach to agroforest production to bridge the gap of deforestation in southwest Nigeria, using Ileron and its environs as its local example.
These Ewera and other leaves, they are virtually going into extinction because of deforestation. See, we cut trees, we don't plant back. We cut some other different types of trees under biodiversity, we don't plant them back. We don't do any plant. And that's why, Tamatokos like a very cool environment where the relative humidity is high. And when we don't have this local wrapper, then you have to look for around. And that's why some people are taking advantage of it. They look around, what is your problem? When they discover that your problem is that you are sourcing for this local wrapper, you don't get it, then they find an alternative to make their own business. That's why people are using it. Now, when we now turn around to discover that we need to revive, we need to sensitize, we need to create more awareness for our farmers really to go into the planting of this thing again, to go into building up our multi-story agroforestry environment again. Now, it takes us more time than it has taken us actually to realize, to actually sensitize the farmer to start planting this thing. That's why they were using this. Nobody, for instance, for many years, we didn't know because we have a lot of these forest resources before. We were working on them. Then later, when we now started doing deforestation, and then gradually didn't start kicking back on us, we are having some health challenges, we are having some other problems, road accident when people are traveling far. Then we now started thinking, and we consult with the entire world and see that, okay, can you come to our aid? We need to do this for our farmers, but we need some support so that we can be able to do like logistics support and some other things there.
Emadet has a nursery with more than 10,000 leaf samplings. It also teaches the farmers how to manage their money and avoid wasteful spending.
There's something we call money out, money in. Money out is your investment. Money in is what you make from your business. And that is part of the arithmetic we are doing in what we call Farmer Business School, which was adapted to this particular project. You see, farmers are not keeping record. That's why some of them, even during the festivals, they won't come down to their home base town. Some of them, most of them that are here, they are native of Igbo, which is a bigger local government. But when it's time for maybe Christmas or Ileya or some other things like that, they will not come because they are not making it. They are not keeping record. They won't know whether they are doing good business or bad business. You see? And when somebody is doing, the only way they can know is that they don't have sufficient money to cope to send their children to school.
The sweetbriar plant, a perennial wild understory herb, is one of the promising non-timber forest products, whose economic potentials have not been fully exploited.
Next thing we want to do, which we are doing, is relating with other research institutions and groups and private companies who can, in technological value chain of the leaf, so that we can eventually, we are hoping to have connections to have Nigeria leaf cup and leaf plate. That's our real thing, so that these women will become like producers for a small, company that can be producing. So if you are planting leaves, you supply your leaf to that company so that these women who are now selling raw leaves are the ones selling leaf cups and leaf plates.
Many women in Iwo town who sell the sweet prayer plant say it is profitable for them. They sell 40 pieces of the leaf between 40 and 60 naira. Mama Irat Adeniyi is one of the executive members of the cooperative in Iwo. Like many of the sellers here, she has to travel far to get the leaves, unlike before. But the effort so far, she says, is worth it.
As it is, during the rainy season, the leaf production is bountiful. But when rain is too heavy, we won't be able to go to the farm, so that may affect pricing. It is very costly during the dry season because it is what we cut now that we may have to sell then.
The T. Danieli fruit collection is reported to have provided employment to many people in Ghana. Researchers reported that T. Danieli fruit was sold at 50 cents per kilogram in local markets. Between 1990 and 2012, the total production of areas from T. Danieli in Côte d'Ivoire ranged from 10,250,000 kilograms to 25,600 kilograms. Given $16 per kilogram as average price for a frozen aerial, this production earned between $160,000 and $400,000 annually in exports to the United Kingdom. Hence, there is an apparent untapped potential to improve rural livelihoods in West and Central Africa through cultivation of T. Danieli. Researchers have found that the leaf, fruit, and seed of sweet prayers plant have high nutritional value and potential medicinal uses. T. Danieli leaves could serve as nutritious vegetables in addition to the traditional use for wrapping processed foods. The leaves can also be incorporated into animal feed, especially taking into cognizance the high protein and fat content. We've been told the fruits and seed can be exploited for the mineral content, and many have said that the prospect for medicinal use of the plant parts should also be explored. That's our program for today. Thank you for watching. You may watch this episode again by visiting our YouTube channels, youtube.com/channelsweb. To click the playlist menu and then click Add File. From me, Ayola Kasim, and the team here in Lagos, it's bye for now.